Poquito, poquito, poquito podcast. Poquito, poquito, poquito podcast. Poquito, poquito, poquito podcast.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Ryan Reyes.
And I'm Ricky Macias.
And I'm Josh, the producer.
And today we're joined by my mom, Angel Amezcua. Welcome back, Mom. How you doing?
Good. Hey, everybody.
How's everyone's week been? Good?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good?
Great.
Great. Oh, all right. One-upping us all, I guess. Thanks, Mom. You're a guest. No, I'm just kidding. We have a few different things it's gonna be a topical episode. We've just been looking up, current news and whatnot. On a lighter note, I wanted to start with something that I think is kind of cool. They finally released who's going to be the new Fantastic Four. Pedro Pascal is going to be Dr. Reed.
Oh, who's that?
Really?
Mr. Fantastic himself, the stretchy guy.
Oh.
Or who's Pedro Pascal?
Yeah.
He's Mandalorian.
Ooh.
What else was he in? He was in Game of Thrones. He was the dude with the bow staff. He gets his eyes ripped out.
I haven't watched any of these.
Ripped out or smashed in?
Both. He starts with the eyes and then gadoosh.
Yeah.
I know who this is.
Like he's a pomegranate.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. I was trying to remember the one that everyone loved him in. He did that Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I can't really talk about that, but people love that.
My favorite story from that movie is there's a pillow with the little embroidered glitter that you wave it one way and it's one picture, you wave it back, it's another. And it was not supposed to be in the props because it's not memorabilia from Nicolas Cage's movies. It was a gift given to the staff and crew, cast and crew, for the movie, just for fun. It was a gift to all of them. And one of the stagehands thought it would be funny to put it in the little museum. Nicolas Cage sees it, and his line is a genuine reaction to seeing his own face. And so Pedro Pascal, fixing it when he gets mad was an improvised reaction to that.
That's cool.
It's really funny.
I tried to look up something I had seen him in before, and it was nothing. But I know his face from something. I don't know what though.
I'm sure you would have seen him in something. He's been in a lot of stuff recently.
He's been on a lot of late night.
He was on SNL. He was in Narcos. He played the federal agent.
Didn't watch Narcos.
What?
Did you watch?
I
Did you watch Wonder
Narcos.
Woman?
Narcos?
84. I think it was Wonder Woman 84.
He's
No, I
2
don't watch any
years younger
superhero
than I am.
I remember when I first started watching Narcos, I know it's a violent show, but I almost got emotional because I hadn't been to Mexico. So I got to see a society where Latinos were in all ranks and file.
Right.
And that just was the norm. And I got a little emotional about it.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Just so starved for equality that you're cool with murder.
Yeah. You're this is representation.
Gotta crack a few eggs.
Yeah.
Anyway, reeling it back in. We have other stories to get to. So many others. Another cool thing, not small story, but a very brief article I came across was Los Bukis, which my mom says was Mexican Beatles. They're going to be the first Spanish-speaking residency in Las Vegas.
That's pretty cool.
That was announced, I think, yesterday, February 24th. They're going to have a 5-month residency starting in May, and it's going to end in September.
Man,
That's
they're,
pretty cool.
They're an old school band.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them. So
Yeah.
What?
yeah,
Old school Latin rock.
Nice.
Yeah, I like some Latin rock.
They have classics, and my dad used to love Los Bukis, and he had albums of them. So yeah, I remember when we'd be cooking in the kitchen, he'd be playing their music. So I have a lot of TikToks with them.
Nice.
I use them. Yeah.
I gotta check them out.
I know I've heard them before, but it's always through my mom or my grandfather, so I don't remember the songs by heart, but
Yeah,
they're pretty tight.
My old coworkers used to call me Buki because I look I kind of look like Marco Antonio Solis a little bit. I got the hair and the beard and
The
stuff.
hair for sure.
I gotta check them
Go to
out.
Vegas.
Oh,
I know. I should be
They
I'm your
just-
son.
They just had a concert about a year ago in
Yeah.
Inglewood. Yeah.
So that's cool. There's a lot of Latin music is becoming kind of having like a resurgency in the United States, and not just for the Latin community. Like in general, people are starting to like their music more.
For sure. I wouldn't even say kind of. I just found out, I don't listen to the radio at all.
Yeah.
But the past few days I've been like turning on Power 106. Have you guys listened to Power 106 recently?
Yeah.
No.
Apparently for the last 2 years, it's just, it's for us, dude. It's a Latino radio
That's crazy.
now.
That's where we have a friend who has a bit about it. Like that's where that comes from. I don't know if I want to do the bit.
Oh yeah, don't
It's
do
his
that
bit.
Okay.
But it's very funny. Yeah, it's a thing I've noticed also the last like 3-4 years.
Yeah, I just turned it on the other day and it was just playing reggaeton and like all kind of Spanish music. And I guess there's I don't know his name, oh god.
Peso Pluma.
Yes, Peso Pluma, that guy, dude. Blowing up, everyone loves him.
Yeah.
They love us right now, dude. I didn't even know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you know it's happening for us when one of the Kardashians start dating us, you know?
If one of us are in, we're all
Bad
in.
That
Bunny?
is very true.
Bad Buddy's like, oh, that's what's cool now? Time to date.
Is that still a thing?
I don't think it's still a
I don't
thing,
think it is anymore.
but you know that's start.
It's hard because they say it comes out that they broke up, but then you'll see them somewhere
Right.
I
again.
get that.
But then when you do see him, she's very aloof.
That's just like their thing.
That is their thing.
They're aloof.
Can't be aloof with a Latino. He's not going to understand. You see it in his
Well,
face. He
what's
doesn't know
funny is
happening.
get
what's funny is
insecure.
that she doesn't speak Spanish and he doesn't speak.
That's hilarious.
I mean that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's kind of funny.
He doesn't speak English at all?
I mean, he
He's
does,
learning.
but
Oh, okay.
he's not.
I thought he spoke English. I never even.
That's a good question.
I've never really seen any interviews with him. I've heard a few of his songs.
I mean, he does speak English, but it's not his first language.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta learn more about bro. Like he's killing it right now, so I
Yeah,
should know
he's-
way more about bro.
He was supposed to be a Spider-Man villain, but that shit got nipped in the bud. But he was in a
That
movie that
makes
came
sense.
out, I think last year, Bullet Train. He was in that. He was pretty good in that.
He was before he became famous, just a few years ago. He was worked at a grocery store.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he worked at a grocery store and just was a bagger, like bagged the groceries. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And now he's getting the bag.
Damn, bring it around. Yeah, no, I've noticed. Who hasn't noticed that like surge in popularity for Latin American music?
For sure. Especially out here in California.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, but I was like, I've been waiting for something like that classic, like Latin rock type stuff, like indie Latin rock. Because I've been listening to like some indie Spanish music for a while, but like I used to listen to Café Tacuba, and I was like, damn, if some of that stuff resurges, like that'd be really cool. But there are bands like that happening here, like the Tiaras, Las Tiaras,
Yeah.
Cafeteras.
Cafeteras. I
Have you
check
heard them?
No, I
you
have to
gotta check them out.
I think what's helped is there's been a lot of like music fusion that's incorporated like mariachi and
Mm-hmm.
different styles of Latin into other genres like rock and rap.
Absolutely.
For sure.
But one thing, so this leads me to like the more relevant, more recent article I found, which is there's this mariachi singer, Julian Torres, who he got popular because in 2020 during COVID, he made a tribute to Kobe Bryant. And that got Snoop Dogg's attention, who at that same year had just bought back Death Row Records. So he's this current owner and CEO of Death Row. And last September, he officially signed Julian Torres as the first mariachi to be signed by Death Row Records,
Hell yeah. Shout out Snoop for that.
which is super dope. And actually, this past Wednesday, Inglewood, I think is where he resides currently, did a whole, like the city did a whole celebration for him. They like made merch. They made Death Row t-shirts, but it was in like the, the Latino font and with the flag colors. And it was to celebrate the release of his album.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, he lives in Walnut.
Snoop Dogg?
Yeah,
I think he's got a couple of houses here
I'm
and there.
sure.
Yeah.
But he bought this house for like $750,000 way back when, and supposedly he still owns it.
Is that one that was on Cribs? Where has it got basketball
I think it
courts?
was the
I
one.
don't know.
It was,
The Laker courts.
I think it was a house he had before he did, for a brief moment, his family was part of a reality show. That was
Right,
after he
right.
moved. So I think you're right. He still owns it, but he doesn't live there currently.
No,
that's
yeah,
cool.
I believe that.
Snoop
Yeah.
Dogg is just in so many things.
I know.
Like, just to talk about Snoop Dogg for a second. Snoop Dogg is in so many things. It's crazy. I play Call of Duty, and there's a character skin. There's just like
Yes.
every now and then running around.
What
It's just
the
Snoop
heck?
Dogg.
I think I can't remember if it's modeled after like suit he wore for a video, or if it's like based on that horror movie he was in.
I don't know. It's just a regular Snoop Dogg, but he's wearing like a white suit.
I think there's a few different ones because I've seen one of him in purple.
Snoop just got his hands in everything. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, never say weed makes you lazy.
Exactly.
I love how I think we talked about it before, but I just think it was so funny how the internet like went crazy when they thought he was giving up pot. It was just like a fireplace commercial.
It was an ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Crazy. Snoop Dogg's nuts.
So he's owning Death Row now.
Which I think is tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Julian, I've listened to his music. He's really talented. I like it. So I'm not, I've never been super into mariachi music. I'm third generation American. It's a thing.
Yeah, that was something I was gonna say earlier when we were talking about the rock band. Like, I don't. There's kind of like a disconnect for me because I don't speak the language. So, like, while I like a lot of the songs musically, like, there's just that element I can't connect with because I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah, for me, it was a thing of like, it wasn't that I disliked it or anything, but it's similar to what you're saying. I couldn't connect with it. So, for me, it just became like background music. Like, you go to the swap meet, you go to see your older relatives, and it's just what's playing.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, and I will give him credit. This is coming from Dominic a lot, because he is the one putting like effort into trying to retouch with those roots. But he's been showing us a lot of bands that I like. I'm getting into it now,
Nice.
and I think Julian Torres might be like the newest addition to that genre for me.
That's
But I remember I'd be playing Spanish music in the car while we were commuters, so we had a lot of time in the car, and sometimes a really good song would come on, and I'd be like, it's like touching, it's like emotional, it's like intense, and I'd be like, did you understand any of that? And he'd be like, not a word.
Put on the Beatles already.
The English Beatles.
There's this song that I play every so often in my car, and it's from Maná, and it's Reloj Cuckoo, which is cuckoo clock.
Right.
Okay.
And it's the saddest song because it hits a lot of Latino families and how I grew up without a father. I didn't reconnect with my father until I was older. And then we had a great relationship, but growing up, he left, and so we grew up with a single mom. And then that same thing happened to my kids.
Right.
And so that song touches just with a simple words, just simple phrase that this song is dedicated to my dad who left in the wind. It's just simple. I would explain the song to them, and then the next time we heard it, did you
Right.
understand any of it? Nope.
Yeah, there's a song like that that I get from my family. My grandpa used to like the song. Yeah, there's a song like that that I get from my family. My grandpa used to like the song called Mi Viejo. Do you know that song? I can't remember who it's by. I'm not gonna look it up. But the song's about your dad getting older and like seeing his dad get older. You know what I mean? And like my grandpa used to play it, and my dad used to hear it. And so my dad, after my grandfather passed, he would play it, and like it would get him emotional. But I never knew what the words meant. I never knew what the song was even about. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, I was like, Mi Viejo. I was like, the song's about something green. I don't know. Yeah, 'cause I don't
viejo,
yeah. This makes sense. No. But then recently, like, because my family moved away, and stuff. So like that song, like, I'll be reminded of it every now and then. And so like not too long ago, I looked up the words and looked up what it was about and how it was about, like, it's about your dad. And so it's like, it reminds me of my dad and it reminds him of his dad. And so like, I don't know.
It's Latino Cats in the Cradle.
I don't know what
To
that
me,
means.
I think the songs in Spanish that are so intimate like that, they're so emotional. They're the words that they say, it's like so
For sure, poetic.
Yeah, so delicate.
Yeah, and I feel like we lose a lot of that, and like most of the music that's popular in America is pop, you know, and so it's very like party oriented or fun oriented. There's some deep songs out there though, some deep lyrics, but there are those old songs where people were like sad and stuff. Nothing like the pain of a father.
You know what's funny is because this part isn't funny, but my dad died pretty young. So, like, I don't have, like, those songs with him. It's, like, a little bit of Vicente Fernandez because that was his favorite when he was alive. But, like, you know, I was too young. I didn't really listen to that with him. But my mom, when she listens to Selena, she thinks of my dad. And then I was like, now when I listen to Selena, I think of my dad. And it's, like, not the artist you would think.
That's 100% the deal. That makes sense.
Not every time, but when I try to, like, when I'm feeling emotions or I'm having a great memory, I try to share that. Like, I try to share that with my kids, but sometimes they're into it, but sometimes they just can't, you know.
Sharing emotions is kind of like sharing dreams. And it's like, I don't care.
I'm sure it means a lot to you.
Yeah, I'm sure it means it's very deep to you.
Exactly.
Is it about me?
Get back to my Game Boy.
Yeah.
My Game Boy.
But I think those things are important because if you learn about your parents, you learn about your grandparents. I think it tells you a lot about you.
It's true.
Yeah, I think it just hits you at different times. Like me getting to 35 now, like I'm getting more emotional with some of the music my mom and my family would listen to at parties. Even like me talking about Selena, like I like Selena. And all my sisters and cousins love Selena a lot. Like it's definitely a big deal, but it never impacted me that much. Like, it's like when I heard Selena, we're cleaning the house on the weekend. Like that's what Selena meant. That's what like Mana meant. That means we're cleaning and you better start dancing because we're going to make cleaning fun doing the chores on the weekend. But now like I have like more emotional responses to it. But you know, it took me a while to get there, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I saw this really like cheesy Instagram post and it had like a parent's feet with baby feet next to them. And it was saying like your day to day is their childhood memories.
Yeah.
So it's like the regular things you do are the things that you reflect on as you're an adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So right now these things are dumb or whatever. It doesn't even mean anything. But then later when you think about it, that was happening to me the other day. Was just thinking about like old TVs, like how old TVs used to be, where they would like, you know what I mean? And like having to like, we would watch TV during dinner. We were one of those kind of families. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, crazy, like just because I eat dinner by myself now, you know what I mean, in front of a computer screen or something. And so like thinking about being with my whole family and stuff, I was just tripping out on how things used to be, kind of, I guess.
You're like, America's lost its way. No, families don't watch TV together anymore.
I know. Yeah, you can't even watch TV together anymore. Now I got to eat dinner with some Korean person eating at the same time as me on YouTube.
Yeah.
Tell a mukbang?
Yeah, that's a niche joke, I guess.
She reminds me of my mom.
Because imagine like your fast food and then she's shoveling noodles in her mouth.
Yeah.
There's an app that you can have dinner with this man that'll be your dad.
Oh,
that's hilarious.
You have to pay a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you have to pay for it, but the dad will eat dinner with you.
It's a very specific app.
Yeah.
That's
it is. It's crazy.
Is it like a video? Like a guy? Like it's a guy and you could be like, hello, dad? And he'll be like, hi?
Yeah.
Or is it like a AI thing?
No, I think it's a video.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
It'd be funny if you could like subscribe to different like conversations. And like, so how's school been? Like he just has like dialogue
and that's
you could choose from.
That's exactly, he'll ask stuff like that so that the kid could feel...
Interesting.
And he'll give responses like, oh, that's good.
Huh, I didn't know there was a market for this, dude. We could be making some money in our later years.
So are they still bullying you?
Are they? Oh, you got to stick up for yourself. One day you're going to have to stick. I don't know. So how are your friends? That would be crazy.
Are you winning?
And they're paying you?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
crazy.
awesome. I'd do that.
I imagine it's one of those ones where you make one video and then they just insert like the robotic audio. Like, how's your day, Michael?
I can't even learn my name, Dad.
Turn left on La Brea.
Oh, that'd be so sad. I'd get so much more sad.
AI gets mixed up.
Yeah. Did you hear about that? About ChatGPT having like freakouts and like
No.
speaking to people in Spanglish?
That's so funny.
It's just people in Mexico Googling for you.
That's hilarious. We're getting sick of this. Keep asking dumb questions. So yeah, that disconnect from music is really what makes it hard to connect to those songs. Even though I know they're beautiful, I love music. I make music. I have guitars. You know.
Yeah. Feels like they've never been played though.
They're in different spots. If you look at other videos, they'll be moved.
Okay, cool.
It's just him, like, self-conscious.
Yeah, I just
like,
move them every now and then. Got to rearrange
I
them.
gotta dust one real quick so it looks like I'm played.
just strum it once.
Yeah.
The dust.
It's not unlike that, I'll tell you.
That's cool.
But yeah, I think that's why all of these like groups getting opportunities in America are so important. Because not only is it a rising like a pop cultural thing, you know, a lot of new bands are being started in America. There's a lot of like Latino punk groups getting started and metal and hip hop, but also like I feel like record labels and just like people in charge of the businesses that house these groups are starting to notice the incline. So they're, you know, probably leaning into the trend right now, but it's still, I think, a great opportunity for us as far as representation and inclusion.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, because there's something, I think that's just a general trend. I don't think it's just like I think part of it's like a trend. Some of it's just
Right.
popularity, right? And people latching onto that. Because that's normal human stuff. Like, look at what happened with K-pop.
Yeah.
Look what happened, and where did K-pop come from? It deviates from, Korea. But it's influenced
That's what
by
the case for.
boy band culture, which was influenced by R&B groups.
Right.
Which is like Boys to Men, right? So
Yeah.
like it all comes like, well, this is a whole other topic, but
It
so
all
some
comes-
of it, huh?
I was gonna say it all comes back to stealing stuff from black people.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, in a way, right? But I think some of it, like I'm saying, some of it is trends, and it is good to acknowledge all that. But I feel like this is something that is also just actually occurring for Latinos in general,
Right.
not just in music. Like,
For
because
sure.
I saw an article with that there's a whole belt of states where Latinos are like you talked about briefly, gaining kind of majority representation.
Yes. I think there's an article about it last year where in Texas, the Latino population has just barely, the percentile has just barely risen above the Caucasian population in that state. I think the same thing happened in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a growing thing right now, which is cool.
It's just funny. I was just thinking right now about like back in the day when people would be like, they're gonna take our jobs, they're gonna take all our jobs, and then like all the Latino people were just like, nah, what? Here we fucking come.
Critical mass. That's the new church. Critical mass.
Critical mass.
Is that Mexican critical?
That's
The YouTuber?
hilarious. Critical Moss is great.
That's so funny.
I look like Critical
We
mass.
could start a new segment called Critical Mass and you'll be that.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Some bodybuilder, Mexican bodybuilders.
Crazy guys.
Did you guys watch the
Dude, that's
UFC
so-
fight last night?
No.
Yesterday, yes, the fights were yesterday. They were there wasn't any like championship belt matches, but it was in Mexico, so there was a lot of Mexican opponents
Oh,
last
nice.
night, and we kicked everybody's ass
Nice.
for the most part.
For the most part.
I don't remember all of it. So yesterday was also a family event. My stepbrother and his daughter have the same birthday weekend, so they just had like one long party for them. It started at like 12. So unfortunately, everyone went home, and I just like knocked out. I didn't get to finish the fights, but the first like 4 that I saw were pretty cool.
That's what's
KO.
up. Really?
He said he
I
knocked out.
KO'd.
Yeah,
That was the-
yeah.
It was a
Oh,
bit.
gotcha.
It was a joke.
I
Stupid
got it.
joke.
No, it's good.
The last fight was
You
a
don't have to
pretty
make
good
it.
fight, but the guy I was going for, Brandon Moreno, lost.
Damn.
But I think he fought a good fight. I think he he looked tired already when he started, but when he'd hit hard, and the other guy, Roybal, was the one that ended up winning. He fought really well.
Those weight cuts, huh? I'm sure those weight cuts are brutal. Like going in tired, that means he was like trying to cut a lot. I mean, they do it the day before, right?
Yeah, but I also feel like, and I don't want to overgeneralize, and but I think it was home turf. A lot of like I feel
it
was
in Mexico.
Yeah, I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of the Mexican opponents kind of felt pressure to like they couldn't just everyone wants to play smart, but they also like had to represent. So they were trying harder. You know what I mean? They weren't. One thing I noticed from a lot of the fighters from Mexico was like they were not backing down the way you might see in an American fight or a Canadian fight.
Yeah, that's a very like cultural thing, right? Like that's why Conor McGregor, who I know he got he is controversial, but I think it was the fight where he had with Mayweather, where he's like, I made you fight like a Mexican. And it sounds racist, but what he was saying is like, I made Mayweather be more forward than defensive.
Yeah, because a lot of, there are fights you'll see, not all the time, but it's often.
That was crazy.
He is crazy.
Yes,
he's crazy. It's probably a little racist, right? He's crazy.
Probably a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
But I know what he's saying.
Yeah. He's also a troll.
He's also a fucking a troll. And but yeah, it's like that's a trend, and I think that's a cultural thing of like not giving up, basically.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll see a fight where like both of the athletes are very well trained. They have a up and coming rising career, but neither of them want to risk that they might be overwhelmed, so they play it safe. And then 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 rounds, they're just like chasing each other, but keeping their distance. In Mexican fights, from what I saw yesterday, if that's an example of the culture out there, they don't let you do that. They go for it the whole time.
Yeah.
Damn.
There's also
that's how that fight was. They were just going at it, especially the last round. You could tell the one guy that was losing, he was freaking exhausted, and he was just giving it all he had.
Yeah, unless he's knocked out, he's not gonna stop.
There's also something to be said. Sometimes UFC be on some weird stuff where they would stack cards to make fighters, like they have promising fighters, and so like in order to like get some hype up for them, they'll like feed them a person that they know that they're gonna like an underdog, basically.
I've heard this.
Yeah, it's a thing for sure.
I don't follow UFC enough to comment about current culture, but I will say I remember stories about that even in boxing, like in the 90s, where it's like, you didn't see a lot of prominent Latino boxers until later because they were the guys that were being fed to the bigger fighters.
Right.
So it's really cool that
I don't know too much about the history. The history is
so
nuts.
I don't want to,
sports like boxing and fight history is weird. It's
Yeah.
sketch.
Yeah.
It's sketch. It still is. It's still sketch.
Yeah,
there's so much money in it.
Yeah.
Like it's too expensive for weird things to not happen.
Like fighting culture is so closely tied to crime culture. Like
right. No,
like,
it's
like legitimately.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these people come from like impoverished situations. That's why they'll like literally fight hard.
Fight for your life.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's also like crazy respectable to like be able to fight that hard. Oh, man. But it's so intertwined. Like
it's nuts. I respect those guys greatly.
Yeah, I don't want to be punched ever.
And then for a living? Jesus.
That's your job?
Yeah.
You're like, imagine getting hit the first few times, like, I think I could do this.
Yeah, dude. And some of those training facilities, like, they go full in. Like, they're not, like, pulling no punches or nothing. Like, you're getting knocked out in practice.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I just can't, like, I have, like, big reach for my height. I'm 5'6", but I have, like, literally a 6-foot wingspan. Nice. So people are like, oh, you could make it, like, as a featherweight or something, like, if I had to lose weight, But I was like, yeah, but I get knocked out easily. I remember one time in middle school, someone threw a heavy backpack at me, and it knocked me out.
You got knocked out?
Yeah, I think it downloaded too much knowledge at once.
That's funny.
Oh, my God.
Your dial-up noises?
Calculus.
Careful. Imagine if you got knocked out right now and you hit your head on that. Yeah.
You guys
that's how sensitive it is.
And you guys record the rest of the episode? I'm just like,
yeah, we have to Weekend at Bernie's the rest of the episode.
My mom's just flapping your mouth like, What do you think, Ricky? I think it's a good idea.
That's ridiculous.
So, I also came across this couple. I follow a lot of like queer news channels. One of them is Pink News, and yesterday I found a small, like, I guess you'd call it an expose. It's like an Instagram post, but it's about these two like Chicano, like Cholo dudes who they're on YouTube, they're on TikTok, they market themselves as like gay Chicanos. They're a couple. And that's like a lot of their content is about their lives living in a Latin community and being openly gay. I thought that was interesting.
Yes.
But so I just found out about them, but you were telling us a second ago that you know about them already.
Yeah, they blew up. And what happened was they were walking on a bridge and a photographer came and said, "Hey, can I take a picture of you guys?" And they stopped to pose. We should look for that picture because it would
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a viral video of like
Yes.
these cholo fools like macking down and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! I've seen that shit. That shit's
So
hilarious.
they kissed.
Well, I mean, it's hilarious because the cholo thing is like
Right.
about being tough, and then they're being vulnerable. They're being
Yeah,
extremely
yeah,
vulnerable
yeah.
on camera.
Yeah.
They kissed in that picture.
Right.
And that's the one that went viral. That's the picture that went viral. But now they've been like on so many things.
Hell yeah.
Like they just blew up and they seem like great people and they share like, you know, what it's like for them to look the way they do and be who they are. And one of them says like, "Do you think I would choose to want to be with a man? Like, it doesn't happen that way. It's just what it is." And then the other one,
It's funny to word it that way because it sounds kind of negative. It's like, you think I want this?
I'd love it.
but that
I'm down,
that was an important thing because for me, this is how I think. If it was my kids, like, I don't care. I really honestly don't care. But you never want your kids to go through the negativity of
Yeah.
society.
Yeah.
So I think he meant it like that. Like,
For sure.
Right.
you know what I mean?
100%.
And then the other one, his partner, has a daughter, which she's like in her early 20s now.
Right, yeah.
And the daughter's grown up with her two dads, and she's very protective of them. And they interviewed her too, and she was like totally supportive and doesn't know anything else. And they have a cool story.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy because that's a thing that often, I want to say, people don't expect. And it's a great example of like, it's a, what do you call it? It's it breaks the mold that people have in their heads.
Yeah,
as the gay
exactly.
For sure.
Because everyone's used to the stereotypic like soft flamboyant guy, and then you see dudes. Because I remember there was a dude that I didn't work with, but I worked for a small cafe in this like food court, and on the other side of it there was an ice cream shop, and there was a dude there that I talked to all the time because he reminded me of one of my brothers, and he was just like he was like a surfer dude, but he was also gay, and he was also Latino, and it's a thing. I think this is a cool addition to the spectrum of like, no group is a monolith.
Yeah.
Like, you can be masculine
Exactly.
and still be gay. Like,
Yeah, some of the gayest fools I know are just like these straight looking cargo pants wearing nerds. We'd be playing like Magic the Gathering and you look over and they're making out real quick and you're like, "Oh yeah, they're gay."
Right.
Yeah, you've seen them
I've
already.
seen them for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. The only thing I regret is that I'm like late to the bandwagon apparently. I'm the only one that didn't know about them till yesterday.
Really?
yeah.
That's funny.
I'm on the internet, too.
So am I.
Yeah.
And I somehow had seen them before they blew up.
Right.
As they were gaining momentum, that's when I first saw them.
You knew about it before it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High five.
So, but yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting story. And for them, some of the things that they've said and they shared, there's this guy that goes around and he interviews people from the gay community, the trans community, and that's where I first saw him, that podcast where he had interviewed them.
Yeah, because queer or not, like it's also ties in, like you were saying, like we're not a monolith. It breaks the mold. But like, have you ever just talked to a former cholo or cholo about their feelings? Like they're always hiding it, but you like nudge them a little bit, like, all right, fool, I got feelings. Like, like there's
cholos are emotional.
They are so emotional with all their sad songs. And
my favorite thing about when a cholo is like being vulnerable is all of a sudden he also has like a great vernacular. I felt emasculated, man.
Because they're hiding that. They're hiding the intellect because they don't want to like make anyone feel like. They don't want to make anyone feel dumb or weird. Like,
well, also I've met like kids at school that were like they gave off that cholo vibe that straight up called you gay if you were smart in class.
Yeah, well, that's
for sure.
There's a spectrum. There's a cholo spectrum.
It's so funny. When I was young, I have like uncles and stuff that are street and stuff, and like when I was young, I rebelled kind of hard against street culture, and like I thought gang shit was so dumb. I was like, you guys are dumb, and like they were like. My uncle was like being cool, and then all of a sudden was like, "You don't understand. Like they're brothers. They're looking out for each other." And he just got so emotional, and I was like, "I don't know. It seems lame to me." And he was just so mad, like just so pissed.
That reminds me of like me and my kids, because all the years that they were growing up. And then I would tell them stories and they'd be like rolling their eyes and stuff like that. I wouldn't say I was a chola, but I was definitely in the barrio. Right. And I was always small for my grade or whatever. And I used to get picked on. And I used to get picked on by these mean cholas. And one time I remember that there was a group of them and they would look big. They looked like 30 years old, but that we were in junior high they looked just big. And me and my friend were walking on one side of the street, and across the street, there was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them. And they call us, and they called me in particular. And they're like, hey, across the street. And then I turned and I look at my friend. She's like, I'm not going. And I was like, fuck. And then my son, Anthony, says, you didn't go, right, Mom? And I was like, are you kidding me? I had to. It's
about respect.
If I wouldn't have, it would have been worse for me. It would have been like me getting my ass kicked in school. Right. You know what I mean? So I did. I crossed the street. I was so freaking scared, and I thought they were going to beat the crap out of me, and they didn't. They ended up talking shit, of course, but I walked away.
I thought you were like, they made me their leader. So
they gave me an application.
No, I ended up walking back, and it was fine. But that's like I don't know, those things that I remember. It's different now.
They were mad at you? They were just picking on you just to pick on you, or like you're trying to steal their man?
When I called, I mean.
It's usually what it goes down over.
No, it is for sure. They think they accuse you of that, and actually, what they said was, "Oh, I heard you were talking shit about so and so, and it happened to be her sister." And I was like, "Who's that?" I didn't even know who she was talking about.
They're like, "All right."
And she goes, "That's Lydia, and she's right here." And I was like, I don't even know her. I don't even remember ever seeing her.
She's talking to me like she knows me.
The fifth.
I thought you were going to be like, oh, you mean skunk face? Like, make it work.
Oh, is that bitch?
Yeah. But I just remember my kids' reactions for me telling them what I really went through, what I really did, like how I reacted. They were like it was an impossible, like, I just always remember that Anthony said, you didn't go, right, Mom? And I'm like, you don't even get it. I had to go.
Right. Got to kiss the ring, you know?
Yeah, there's, and I think I understood a little bit of that. My sister knew more, but like, there's this amount that they want you to take, like a little bit of like rough, like basically they're kind of what's that term, hazing you, and they're trying to see if like you're actually at least a little tough.
Right, like testing their waters to see if they can push you around.
Some of them will still push you around. You
know, growing up in elementary school, I got in so many fights, and it was never a fight like someone came up to me. It was always meet me here at this certain time.
Wow.
Yeah, people had class in those days.
Mm-hmm. and
then recess.
And I'd show up. And I would show up, and I was always the smallest.
Yeah.
I was always the smallest, and I always thought to myself, they're probably going to beat me up, but I'm going to get some punches in, and I would give it all I had. You know what I mean?
See, I told you were like my sister. I feel it.
That was so funny.
You know, back then, if you were going to get jumped, it was, you know, there's an organization needing to happen.
For sure. Meet at
It
the
was
park.
different for sure. And then, I just remember always like walking towards where I was supposed to meet them, and my friends would be with me, and then there'd be a group of girls, and it was always bad. But I don't think I ever lost a fight. And one time, this one girl, I'm not going to say her name because I still know her, but she was really, really tall, and she told me to meet her on the side of like where we go get the school bus to go home. And I did. I met her there, and I thought she is going to kill me because she was so freaking tall. And I was thinking about it as I was walking towards her, and she was like ready. She was like ready, and I knew she was going to kick my ass, and I didn't have nothing. I was like, I don't even know how. And they had told me you can't kick because then they say, you know, you're.
Oh, she's scared of you?
Yeah. And so, because I had thought maybe I can kick her, and then, you know, so I said I have to get her down to my level. So as soon as I got up to her, I just went straight up to her, got her by her hair, and pulled her down. And she fell to her knees, and I just let her have it. And then that's how I won that one.
Nice.
Yikes.
I was in 5th grade. when that
And
happened.
you already understood geometry? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was tough times, fools.
An object in motion. Like, I'm trying to think of like a good high school, middle school reference.
It's
You
like
ever heard of inertia? She's like, no, who's that?
the Pythagorean theorem means that I have an advantage because of the right angle for you is. I don't know.
A squared plus B squared equals you're squared.
You guys think it was funny, but that really happened to me. I did the best I could.
We were just trying to make it funny.
Yeah.
I actually think it's very
Smile.
sad and traumatic. And that a 5th grader should not be going through that.
I know.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to school the next day. Like,
And you're like, oh, I forgot my homework.
imagine she tells me that in the beginning of school, meet me here at this time, and I have to go through the whole day just scared, you know?
Can't go to the nurse. Can't do
No.
nothing.
No.
But at least you won.
They should have a nurse for fights.
But does anyone,
Like a ref.
you just said it, a 5th grader getting in a fight like that, does anyone really win?
You won.
I mean, you won.
Yeah.
You beat her up.
We just heard the
You
story.
got a good story now.
I mean, you know,
what you
emotionally
mean.
and psychologically.
You
Oh,
should have
yeah.
joined boxing. A lot of girls join boxing nowadays.
Damn, you could have been a UFC fighter.
Standing up for yourself's not wrong.
No.
And I don't even think fighting's that bad as long as you're not getting crazy and like killing people or like
Yeah.
being overly violent.
Well, I
am-
will say I was never the instigator, not once. I always was defending myself.
In star fights, you just finished.
Yeah.
I do have a question. If you were a professional fighter, what would your come out music be?
I don't know.
Well, what about you guys? What are your? Because I have a couple fight stories, but what are your guys's?
I like a lot like your mom. I was the smallest one for my age all the time, and they would try to every once in a while. You know, back in my grade, going body was like cool. Josh, you know this?
I know.
Going what?
Going body.
Going bodies.
It's
So
like where
going
you just
bodies-
yes.
Was like you'd get chest to chest and then just wildly swing at each other.
Oh, shit.
They would do that back in the day. They
It
just not hit
looked
each other in the face or
dumb.
in the extremities.
It's dumb, but if you don't do it, no one respects you.
Yeah, you have to do it bodies because that I feel like bodies became a thing so that you wouldn't have to remember all the ground rules.
yeah.
Because when you're that close, you can't kick, you can't headbutt,
Yeah.
you can just swing your arms wildly.
But
I always thought it was about not showing marks and not getting in trouble.
that's also a thing.
that's
Yeah.
also part of it.
yeah.
Because you could hide the bruises, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanted somebody to show, they'd get jumped. It was the
Inevitably,
difference.
someone would get hit in the face, and inevitably, the bodies would always turn into a fight.
Yeah.
Every time I saw it.
That would definitely happen. But yeah, so I was always one of the smallest ones in my grade. I was one of the oldest and the smallest. Like I was a January baby and I was born premature. So I was always the smallest
Funny.
and the oldest. But one time, because I used to hang out with like the cholos and stuff in my middle school, and one day they're like, they would go body and stuff, and I'd be in this big circle sometimes. But eventually they're like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we got Ricky and the other small guy to go bodies? Wouldn't that not like wouldn't that be cool? Like, wouldn't this be funny?
Yeah.
So they
It's
like
hilarious.
made us go body, and we were like the weakest, scaredest ones, and we were going body, and I was like trying to swing, and I hit him in the face one time, and I felt really bad. I was like, oh, I'm in the middle of going body. I was like, hey, bro, I'm really sorry
I am
about
so
that.
sorry.
I am so sorry.
Oh my god!
And I was like, you could hit me back. Like, like this, that was unfair. I broke the
Oh my
rules.
God, Ricky.
You can hit me back, and then his move was to put two fists together, like an anime.
He's
like, yeah.
He super punched
He
you.
super punched me.
Hilarious.
It did not feel like a super punch, but
It didn't hurt at all.
no. And then everybody saw that, and they're like, all right, let's go.
This is done.
This is
Puts his
dead.
hands together and it just forms an average-sized face.
Yeah, yeah.
A small fist.
Oh.
No, that's so funny that everyone was just so disappointed that they were just like, "Oh, we get this is sad now."
Yeah, it's not even funny anymore.
We didn't know. We didn't know.
That was funny because
That's great.
similar to your stories, I was actually always the smallest kid in school until like middle school. I started to catch up, but I was still shorter than most kids. In fact, when I was in middle school, my little brother was almost my exact same height, and I didn't surpass that until like I want to say the end of freshman, beginning of sophomore year. So that was the thing where I got picked on a lot. I was also like the weird kid. Nobody knew I was autistic. I didn't know I was autistic. So I'd do weird stuff. People would pick on me for it. But I will say, like, kids would fight me, but I was never like beaten up for it, you know.
I thought you were gonna say like I do weird stuff like my homework.
That was weird to me. I didn't do no homework in high school.
Well, one of the things was like I kind of developed insomnia, so I would like not sleep most days.
You developed insomnia? I'm just joking. Sorry. So you're the guy?
You created it.
I laid down a lot during recess instead of playing with other kids.
Yeah, it was weird to do it in the middle of the Foursquare.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
was
trying
the
to play
coldest
handball. Ryan's asleep on the dodgeball court again. I don't know.
I was actually pretty good at dodgeball until I got fat.
Weren't we all?
But then you could have dodged those tacos, huh?
Damn.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna go back.
And now we're going bodies. And that's when my uncle used to go bodies to me, but he called it human blanket.
What?
That just sounds like he's like, that just sounds like you're a little kid. He's randomly popping out and going, "What'd you call it?
human blanket.
Human blanket."
That is what he would
just
do.
tackled you.
I would be like laying on the couch like at my grandma's house, and he would just be like human blanket, and he'd just go and just his whole body would cover
That's
you.
terrifying.
hilarious.
So terrifying. He's a huge man.
I'm sorry
those
that I'm
days.
laughing.
No, it was funny. It was funny later, or when he did it to my other cousins.
Yeah, it's
Like,
funny when
now
it
you-
wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Go. Nah, I was always the big kid. I was never small.
So you were the bully.
No, not a bully because I was always shy.
Yeah, you see that sweater? He's
Yeah,
not a
like,
bully.
not a bully, dude. There was some people I found out later, like, because I would have some friends that I would mess with, like I would troll. I was a troll. I've always been a troll. But I had some friends that like later I figured out that they like looked at me like a bully.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Pal, we used to hang out every day." I didn't even. I was like, "Oh, I guess I was a little too aggressive for these guys or something." But that's the only time.
You're on camera.
I was
true.
looking for a picture of you, but I couldn't find it to show them.
And this is
doesn't
him in
keep
the
any-
bathtub, and this is him. in
No,
this-
but it showed like how small he was.
I
This
will
is
say I have the last copy, and this is the only reason that I'm willing to admit this. My older brother. I don't know if you've met Anthony.
I think once.
I don't remember if it was him or my uncle Mikey, but one of them, when we were still living like in Texas, opened the door to the bathroom while I was still in the toilet and tried to take a photo of me.
Oh,
And that was been in our family photos
hilarious.
every time we moved. And I only know. And I found it, and I didn't destroy it, but I kept it. No one's allowed to show it anymore. It's gone.
That's funny. That's a
But
good
yeah.
picture to have. Those are those things that they're annoying now, but when you're old, one day you're gonna find that picture and you're gonna cry. And you're gonna be
They're
like,
not here to bully me anymore.
Exactly. yeah, for real, dude.
Too bad I had to end them.
I had that same kind of a thing. One time I was throwing a tantrum and my uncle took a picture of me throwing a shoe at him. I was mad. I was like the
so much.
Yeah, I was so mad, dude. And he was like, "You're gonna see how you look. This is how you look." And he put it on the fridge too high for me to get. So there's just this picture that lived there for like 10 years of just me being angry. Later I got it. I was like, "Oh, you do look like an idiot being mad." But
yeah,
but
they
I
used to
was so
tease me
pissed.
because my name. It sucks that my name rhymes with crying, because they created a nursery rhyme about it.
Right. We had, my sister was the youngest, so she got all the short end of the stick every time. But rhyming names, we didn't need none of that. We called her Poo Poo Girl.
Why?
I don't know.
That's mean.
Yeah, it was
As
just
someone
mean,
who was
yeah.
called Pee Pee Boy,
Yeah.
that is so mean.
That's what, really?
Yes, kind of.
That's
I went
so
to bed
funny.
for so long.
Oh,
You should write
that's
a
so
comic
funny.
book.
Pee Pee Boy.
And Poo Poo Girl?
You should write a children's book
Pee Pee
on
Boy.
how you overcame that.
Oh yeah.
That's so funny.
Have you?
Have you?
Hey.
See
Didn't
your
you
wrestling
say
from his
you were
adult
like
life.
14?
Yeah. I was like 14 when I finally stopped wetting the bed.
That's funny.
That's wild.
We're being very vulnerable in this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about
I love it. We're good.
culture. So I feel like it was a natural.
Yeah.
Well, what's your most traumatic moment from childhood?
Or maybe a fight? Fight stories?
Oh, what's your dumbest fight you've ever been in?
There you go.
That's a
one.
good one. Let us know in the comments. It's been a good day. It's been a very, very vulnerable and informative day. I found out my mom's a badass. So that's cool. I kind of already knew. High five, Mom. Thank you for watching. If you reached this far, let us know in the comments what's a funny fight story from your childhood, whether it's you or a friend of yours or family member. We have some great new content on the Patreon. We are covering the Yolanda Selena documentary on Patreon. So if you want to see our opinions on that, be sure to check it out. We've also dropped some new, Dominic released an episode of Sincerity is Everything. It's an audio podcast that he does. And me and Ricky have started a food vlog. We posted the pilot to the Patreon this week. We visited our local swap meet, and we just tried some of the cart foods. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of walking. I got us lost. More details in the episode. But thanks again for joining us, and from us at Un Poquito.
Don't fly.